Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Ben Franklin, one of the founding fathers, he had a problem. It wasn't a business problem. It wasn't a financial problem. It was a people problem. You see, there was a man in the Pennsylvania legislature who didn't like him, publicly opposed him, criticized him, worked against him. Franklin knew that arguing harder was not going to change the relationship. Trying to win him over directly probably wouldn't have worked either. So Ben Franklin did something unexpected. He learned that this individual, call him a rival, had a rare and valuable book in his personal library. Franklin sent a polite note asking if he could borrow it for a few days. The man agreed. Franklin returned the book promptly with a gracious note thanking this individual. And something changed. The rival, who once disliked Franklin, suddenly became cordial, then friendly. Eventually, the two developed a lasting friendship. Franklin later reflected on the experience and observed something profound. When someone does you a favor, they often become more inclined to like you afterward. That sounds totally backwards, doesn't it? Most of us think relationships are built when we help others. And that's certainly true, right? But what Franklin discovered, another side of human nature. People become emotionally invested in what they contribute to. That which people help build, they will support. Now, that insight has enormous implications for networking, referrals, business relationships, and even friendships. Because sometimes the fastest way to build trust is not by trying to impress someone, rather it's by giving them an opportunity to participate in your success. This is the core point. People tend to justify their actions internally. If they help you, their brain will conclude, I helped this person, therefore I must like or at least value this person. This is known as the Franklin effect. Human beings want internal consistency. So if someone invests time, gives advice, effort, or energy into you or something that you're doing, they subconsciously begin to value the relationship more. Relationships deepen through participation, not by mere observation. Think about a community garden. People feel attached to the flowers they help plant. They protect what they help build. Relationships work much the same way. And here's the problem. Too many people approach networking like a performance, right? They try to impress, they sell, they pitch, they'll dominate the conversation. But relationships are not built through performance, they're built through involvement. People feel connected when they contribute. Asking a thoughtful favor or favors creates this emotional ownership that Franklin discovered, this Franklin effect. Networking should be collaborative. It's not transactional, right? So there's lots of little things that you can do to get this sort of buy-in. Maybe people don't have that rare book anymore. They're all on Amazon, right? But you could ask people little things like, could you introduce me to somebody in that industry? Can I get your opinion on something? You seem experienced in this area. What would you suggest? Would you mind looking over this idea I have? Now, here's the distinction. The favor must be reasonable, right? You can't ask somebody to borrow their vacation home for nothing, right? It needs to be reasonable. It needs to be respectful. You need to be sincere about it. And it needs to be something that's easy enough to say yes to, right? Just it's a gentle nudge. It's not a push. You're not manipulating the person. You're inviting them to participate somehow in your success, even a small way. And that's the huge difference, right? It's not manipulation, it's inviting them to participate. People generally don't resent being helpful. What they do resent is being used. And we need to keep that in mind. Another mistake that networkers often make is that they think giving value means constantly giving or contributing without receiving. But relationships become stronger when both sides are contributing, right? When there's this kind of give and take where people are helping one another back and forth. It's like a bridge. A bridge is not built from one side, right? It's built from both sides. If one person is investing effort, eventually the relationship becomes unstable. So this Franklin effect in building relationships is about letting people help you, letting people share your experience, letting people feel useful with respect to your life. Asking for input can be more relationship building than giving a sales pitch. This is very true in the world of AmSpirit Business Connections or other organizations that are similar to this. But this theme comes up constantly. The strongest members aren't often the people who talk the most about themselves. The strongest members are the people who engage others. They'll ask questions. They'll seek insight. They'll request introductions. They're certainly doing things, but they're inviting collaboration. And that creates relational investment. So here are a few what I'll call modern day examples of the Franklin effect at work. Example one, the new member to what I use AmSpirit Business Connections. That's what I know. I know there's other organizations out there. You can name them. I don't need to. A new member joins a chapter, and instead of trying to sound impressive, like a world beater, right? I know everything. They ask another member, "You've been doing this for a while, haven't you? What's the best way to succeed here?" Now, that small request changes the relationship dynamic immediately. The experienced member, assuming they follow through and provide some insight, now feels connected. They feel invested in this new member's success, right? Here's another example. Sometimes the best referral relationships starts with guidance instead of business. So for example, somebody could say, "Can you help me better understand who would be a good client for you?" That question invites ownership and participation. Or a third example, when inviting guests to an event or to your chapter, instead of saying, "Come help me grow my chapter," maybe try by saying, "I value your opinion. I value your opinion on certainly this group, but I want you to come visit. I want you to kind of assess a couple members that I deal with on a weekly basis and get your thoughts on how I should best deal with them." Now they're emotionally involved before they even arrive. This is the deeper truth about human nature, and really what's underlying the Franklin effect, if you will, is that people want to matter. They truly want to matter. And that's where people who become empty nesters might struggle. Their kids are out, the kids are on their own, they're fully capable of taking care of themselves. You're 50 something and you're saying, "Oh my gosh, where's my value that I'm offering to the world now? I don't really have a purpose." But people want to matter. And so when we ask people for these small favors, we help create meaning for them. We're certainly contributing to the connection, but we're basically saying to them, "You know what? There's value to what you have. There's value to your advice. There's a value to, whatever it might be. Please contribute it to me. Please invest in me." And people will support what they help build. People will champion what they participate in. They don't want to invest in something, participate in something, and see it fall apart. You get a little buy-in from them, and they'll support it. And referrals often come from these emotional investments more than trying to create an obligation for somebody. Think of this in terms of a sporting event, right? You're at a sporting event and you're chanting along with everybody else in the crowd with your team. The the crowd doesn't feel connected because they've watched. I mean, if that were the case, people would be chanting at the TV. They don't. They feel connected because they're participating. Their singular voice or your singular voice makes a difference when it's combined with the tens of thousands of other voices that are there. That participation creates belonging. That's why people paint their face and dress up wildly when they go to games. And belonging creates loyalty. And so when you're asking people favors, you're creating that loyalty. You're creating that investment in you. That's the Franklin effect at work. Back to Ben Franklin. Franklin could have tried to overpower his rival with arguments, intelligence, influence, gamesmanship. Instead, he asked a favor. It was a simple favor. Can I borrow a book? And that's the part that people miss. The relationship changed not because Franklin proved his worth. It changed because the other person, his rival, became involved in Franklin's world. Lent him a book. What is this book going to do? I've contributed to this guy's life. Let's see what comes of this. What'd you think of the book? This is networking. It's not about collecting business cards. Certainly that's part of it. It's not about delivering polished elevator speeches. Sure, you need to be able to be articulate. It's not about trying to impress everyone in the room. No, there's a small aspect of that, sure. But real networking happens when people begin to emotionally invest in other people's success. And sometimes the strongest relationships begin with this simple sentence. Can you help me with something? It's just that simple. Just really simple. Because people rarely value what they merely observe. They value what they help build. And when people help build your success, even in a small way, they often become part of your story. And they want to see that story have a very successful and happy ending.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.